Ronaldo is a legend to you. He's achieved a lot at your club and my club as well, Manchester United. So tell me, I'm sure you've watched the interviews or at
Yep.
least you've seen clips of it. So tell me, what's your take on it? What's your take on the whole Ronaldo interview?
All right, all right, all right. I'm gonna keep it short. Yes, Ronaldo to me is the GOAT. Yes, that's the acronym, not the brand. That Messi wears at Paris. And don't get me wrong, Messi, as Ronaldo said in an interview, he's magic. He is top. Him and Ronaldo are the goats together um, of our era, right? Um, but I'm disappointed. I'm thoroughly disappointed at the vitriol that has come upon Ronaldo this season. This guy was second in the Golden Boot in the EPL last year, quote unquote, the toughest league in the world. And he still is chastised. He's still condemned because he walked off. He walked off. Other people walk off. So many people have done this in the past. And this whole idea of him being a diva bothers me. I think Ronaldo did what Ronaldo had to do. It's not about the money for him. He could care less about the contract. It's not about the fans. It's about the people who has taken his name and run it through the mud. And if anybody did that to you, I'm sure you would want to set the record straight as well. Especially if your employer was not against you. Especially if your manager, your director, your boss was not supporting you or didn't show you the respect that you feel you deserved because you've spent 21 years at the top. There's nobody else. Eric Ten Hag has not coached anybody who has half of Ronaldo's legs. So for me, for him to have the audacity to disrespect Ronaldo the way he has, and Ronaldo said it perfectly. Fine. Ronaldo walked off. He gave you his apology, which for me, I don't think it was an apology. It was more of a, it was more of a protection of his image, and that was definitely written by a publicist. And unfortunately, I wish he had consulted with a publicist before he did this interview, because you guys know how I feel about Piers Morgan's some of his opinions, which did not come into this interview. It was strictly about Ronaldo and football. I'm just very disappointed in how people have looked at him. A lot of the pundits have come out and said that Ronaldo's a diva, Ronaldo's this, Ronaldo's not at the top level anymore. He needs to accept it. Everybody goes through it. Come off it. What he's done at 37 in EPL, Messi dreams he could have done that. When Messi when Messi went to Paris last year and was bombing it, nobody came out and was because the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people have said, oh, Messi didn't do that, Messi didn't do this, this is why Messi is the best and all that. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, Messi struggled in the Farmers League. Let's get this. Let's keep it very real. Struggled in the Farmers League to get form. Nobody came at him, right? Of course, Messi's not going to come out and say anything because he was still playing. He didn't get benched. Pochettino, who's seen more top level football than Eric Ten Hag, didn't bench him. You see what I'm saying? Tuchel. You see what I'm saying? Like he didn't go and bench Neymar, who's seen way more football than Thing, and Neymar is more of a diva than Ronaldo. So how do people have the audacity to go and talk about Ronaldo and compare him how his experience is with Messi? I don't understand that, Josh Eves. It really bothered me. I mean, this guy was benched for what? For what? I don't understand it. Oh, we're not Manchester United. Every time he doesn't play, they win. Yeah, well, there's a stat in Real Madrid right now that we just lost our first game with Mendy playing a full 90 minutes. But Mendy has been crapping the bed for a minute. For a hot minute. He's had a lot of messes up. We don't lose.
But it's interesting. It's interesting your point. I actually really found it refreshing, the interview. I don't know how to say this in a good way, but it was really refreshing to see Ronaldo speak the truth behind all the BS that we had heard for so many years about him and his attitude, and et cetera. He was very honest about everything. And he was
Yeah,
honest about City. He was honest about, I mean, again, we only know his story, and then the rest we read through the media, right? What I can say is it was really refreshing. It was nice to see him speak the truth. It clearly bothered him. There were clearly some things that happened with his daughter when his son passed away and that his daughter was in the hospital, that the club weren't really respectful. I mean, he is a living legend. Let's not even talk about it. Is he the GOAT? Is he not the GOAT? I couldn't care less. In the end, he's entertained me for so many years. And Messi has entertained me. Messi has always been a guy that's been quiet. He's always been that guy that stays in the shadows. He prefers to be out there with his team. He prefers to play. That's his style. That's not a
yeah,
wrong style. And Ronaldo has always been very vocal, very about his physique, very about his sponsorship and so forth. But he's deep
And
down,
his
he
mindset.
cares about the fans, records,
yeah,
and sports. And the fact that he's been bombed by his old colleagues just shows how bad Manchester United have gone. No
yeah.
offense, Josh, but I think the club should be really ashamed of how they're treating Ronaldo. It doesn't matter. Age is a thing. I mean, right now, people live longer. You can play football longer. This guy is probably pumping a good 2 million, if not 3 million a year on his body. He is in phenomenal shape. Is he scoring the goals he's supposed to? Maybe not. But is it down to
Whoa,
him? Is it down to the
but
But
coach?
nobody's scoring
but
the
I don't
goals
know.
but
that, no
but
one's really
again,
No,
scoring the
but
goals, right?
if
he
no, but
but he's not getting
if you're looking,
the,
oh,
to
hold
my
on, let me
point, he's
finish my
not getting
point.
the
If
opportunity to, right? Messi, Messi,
exactly,
Messi,
that's
was, Messi didn't get benched. Messi was given the opportunity to catch form. He's not
correct,
given the
correct,
opportunity to catch
correct.
form,
And
and
I agree
everybody
with you,
keeps
Josh.
saying, "Oh, well, he's not scoring, or he's not when he plays, they don't win." Well, yeah, because you're not allowing him to catch form. He still needs to catch form. These guys act
Hold
like
on.
Ronaldo and Messi oh no, they're not humans, and they pick up a soccer ball and they'll put away 20 goals no matter where they are in the
Yeah,
world. Come on,
yeah, I
man.
totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I would never say that, I'm just saying, is he not scoring the way he's supposed to? Yeah, okay, debatable. You can blame it on age, you can blame it, but it all goes back to the same thing. Confidence, coaching. That's the basic of football. Confidence, coaching. If the team doesn't believe in you, and the coach doesn't believe in you, and the team thinks you're old and annoying, and the coach believes you're old and annoying, and on top of that, the media think you're old and annoying, and you just got there, how are you supposed to perform?
And the
Imagine
people
we
who you grew up with, played with, all have turned on you and said you're old and annoying, right? It's the
exactly.
whole world's
Yeah.
Imagine that in a corporate environment. Would you
oof.
stay? Heck
Oh
no.
no way.
You
Yep.
would quit.
That's what then
So
I always
what's
try to
the
tell
difference?
fans. Yeah.
What's the difference here? Because he gets paid million, he's still a human. How many El Clasicos did he give us? How many derbies did he give us? How many times have we seen a goal we never thought was possible and he did it? Same thing as Messi. If Messi had come out and done the same interview and he was pissed off with Barcelona at the time that he was basically thinking he was going to stay, or he's pissed
Yeah.
off with Qatar because of what's going on in PSG, would we have said anything else? No. I think it's very refreshing for a player his age to open the books and say, listen, the club is behind. It's not going well. They hired some questionable people. I'm a living legend. You should have consulted me. And frankly, if you look at American football, how many quarterbacks have already done that? Prescott, Rodgers, Brady. All those guys have given interviews how pissed off they are with their team, and yet no one gave a shit. They just supported them with the new jerseys. So I don't think this is any different here. I think people are massively undervaluing his value and massively overdoing the fact that he's speaking. And I agree with you, Jeff. Whether he chose the right journalist, that's a question. But it seems it was more of a personal touch than a media touch.
Yeah.
I totally agree with everything you guys are saying, and you guys have. I've been kind of critical of Ronaldo this season. I'll put it out there, but I do agree with you with the interview part, in that it was refreshing to see it, and I think this is something that we as United fans we've known. United, we've had very poor investments into this club, whether it's from players, money being spent in the wrong way. Was it 2 seasons ago? The women's soccer team, the women's team had to share the bathroom with the men's team. We've seen all this stuff, and sometimes you need a big character like Ronaldo to expose these issues. right? And the one thing I wanted to point out too is I think we need to be very careful now as fans on how we take in the media. And not even just fans, I think as citizens of this world. We've seen a lot of media narratives. I've always warned people how powerful the media is. The media is the most powerful tool that any institution, organization, government has in their tool belt. The media. This interview happened, right? And before we even saw the episodes, there was already this backlash. They took a clip of it, not even a clip of it. It was more of they paraphrased it in an article. Oh, Ronaldo said he disrespects Ten Hag, he da 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 da, and everyone ran with it. And so before the real interview actually came out, people had already made their decision, had already put their opinions on it. And I think this is very bad. And it tells me that this is the media once again creating a narrative that I liken this to.
I just want to, just put a point of correction. When you say media, you do also mean social media as well, not just
all media forms,
right? Because
we
as consumers are also part of the problem in how we consume media, right? Twitter, social media, Instagram, because that's where all of those videos came, and there were different.
But they're all from outlets, right? They're from Sky Sports and all these bigger media companies, right? That recycle, and individuals recycle the videos, right? Look at the full context of situations. I reckon it to Pogba when he didn't want to sign the contract. First of all, the media had demonized this guy as a virus, as every negative name you could call in the book. So because of that, even if you fed all the kids in England or in France, people would have still hated this guy. Okay, remember his documentary? Remember his Pogmentary or whatever it was? Before the release date, the media took the one thing where they said what he said, United did not offer him a contract, and ran with it. And all the fans are like, "What do you mean United offered him a contract?" And I said I said, because someone offers you a contract doesn't mean that it's the right contract. These are not your average people who you want to get a job, you just sign a contract because the company offered you a salary and you just sign it. This interview with Ronaldo backs the whole situation that happened with Paul Pogba. Is because they're dangling a piece of paper to your face doesn't mean that is the right contract. What are the stipulations of the contract? Do we know it? No. Is there going to be investments made? We don't know all these things. So that was my main thing, is the context. Because when you actually watch the interview, you start realizing that half of the fuss was not really there.
That's true.
He said everything that needed to be said, like we've all said it. The club has been mismanaged for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying it for years now. Bring Messi into this club, bring Neymar into this club, bring Ronaldo into this club, and they will flop. I've been saying it. The theater of dreams it's been the theater of nightmares, career nightmares for so long, right? And now we've seen it with the GOAT, Ronaldo. He's struggling here, and things are not working the way it should be working. The only thing I would say that I was a little bit in disagreement with is the way he talked about Ten Hag, right? When you start talking about disrespect, I don't respect people. That's where it was a bit like he could have said it in a more diplomatic way, I should say. That because at that point, it's like it's like if you're at work, right, and you're not happy with the situation, and then you start calling your boss names. That's where you draw the line, right? And that's where it's like, okay, you can be professional, but there is a fine line, right? That was the only thing. And then for me too was the timing. But timing is a bit off because this interview was done, I think it was weeks ago. No one knew that United was going to finish the last game against Fulham the way they did. So everybody's like, "Oh, you can't release such a video after Garnacho scored," but it's like that timing is different, right? It's like I'm not worried so much about the timing because that was set in place.
Josh,
can't go back on it.
Josh, I like that you brought up the whole respect with Ten Hag and the Bruno, because that'll be a great segue into Portugal and the World Cup that Yves is gonna lead us through. But just wanted to say one quick point. I was fine with his comments on Ten Hag. because the difference, you know, and I agree with your analogy, but one tweak I would say in your analogy is that which is a non-equivalent, is that Ronaldo has way more experience in football than Ten Hag. I'm sorry. So it's like having a boss who is, you know, who has half the amount of experiences you have, you know, doing what you do, telling you how to do it, you know, and that is my problem. I don't blame Ten Hag and I don't blame Ronaldo for the lack of respect with each other. I blame the sporting directors. I blame, like you said, Manchester United. And like he said, Manchester United, the board, the team, the people who are executive making decisions, because you should be telling Ten Hag, we brought Ronaldo in to do something. We want you to build around him and do your football the way you do it. Can you do it? He says yes. Okay, done. And so for me, him saying he doesn't respect him because he doesn't respect him, yeah, treat people the way you want to be treated. No, Ronaldo didn't treat him in any kind of way. Ronaldo didn't do anything to him, but he came in and he needed to, you know, listening to these idiot pundits saying you need to set your foot down and show these young people, you know, that, you know, even Ronaldo's not above you. No, what you're showing these young people is that no matter how hard you work, no matter how successful you are, no matter how many years of experience you have at the top level, you don't matter when it comes to a coach's perspective or point of view. It's not about putting a person above the team. That's irrelevant, right? It's like the Portugal national team, right? Everybody's talking about, oh, Santos loves him and this and this and that. Yeah, well, so does Ancelotti. So did Ancelotti. Still does. So does Zinedine Zidane. Legends who have been coaching for far longer than Ten Hag was in diapers, you know. And so for me, you don't have the right to treat somebody the way he treated Ronaldo, you know. And I completely disagree with the whole last 3 minutes. Oh, I don't want to bring Ronaldo in because disrespectful against Manchester City. But then you're going to do that exact same thing, like Ronaldo said against Tottenham. Are you out of your mind? And nobody's calling out Ten Hag. How come nobody's calling out Ten Hag? Why? Because
you're right, and you're right. Yeah,
he's got a great personality, and Ronaldo becomes this scapegoat, this demon, because of this diva that's been placed against him. Because people hate him. Because why? He's good looking. He said it one time. They said, "Why do you think people hate you?" He's like, "Because I'm good looking, I'm wealthy, and I'm really good at what I do." Well, yeah. So have all these old soccer heads who barely did anything in their careers coming out and being angry and taking out all their, oh, Ronaldo's down, let's kick him while he's down. I don't agree with that at all. And for me, Ten Hag,
you're right. It's a sad situation the way it's happened. I think if this video came out when he had already left, I think it would have been more. I think people would have definitely taken it in a different light. Right, because it would have been more of, you know what, Ronaldo left because of XYZ.
Do you think so though, or do you think it would allow for a different narrative to become more entrenched? Right?
No, because at that point the fans would just see it as. I think at that point the fans would just see it as this is why Ronaldo left. Because don't get me, don't mistake it. There's still a huge part of the fan base that still adores Ronaldo.
Yeah, right? I agree. I don't think it's the problem with the fans
this season. So and I do get it, and I think you're right. I think. Also, you know what? Maybe you're right. I think also as United fans, we've been protecting Ten Hag as well because of the results lately. I've questioned Ten Hag's, you know, game management at times as well too. In the last couple of games, over the game against Fulham, I questioned it. I'm like, at halftime, he took off Ilanga, brought in McTominay. I said, "What are you doing? This is against Fulham. We're supposed to be trying to win this game," and he went very defensive. Luckily, Garnacho struck the ball the way he did, and he went in. But if that goal never happened, we would have maybe the conversation would have been different, and maybe would have actually said, "You know what, Ronaldo has a point." So I think you're right. There is the fan base. The fan base is split now because of everything that's happened. But I don't know what's next for Ronaldo. I don't know what's next for him. It looks like he's leaving the club. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting the next 5 weeks. It's going to be interesting.
We can discuss where we think he's going to go in the next podcast once we have a little bit more information and once we see how far Portugal goes, because I think that's going to be a key aspect in determining people determining his value, and by people I mean certain clubs. And that's actually a great segue because, you know, the next stage for him to, you know, either prove his point or prove, you know, the haters wrong, and is the World Cup. And Portugal, like you said, the timing of this being released, it came upon a bunch of other videos being released, right? The Bruno, seeing him in the dressing room. People act like that was the first time they saw each other, right? Come on, the Portuguese team traveled together. I highly doubt that Ronaldo and Bruno, that was the first time they'd seen each other since the last game of the EPL. And then the training ground situation with Cancelo, we talked about it in our chats. And Cancelo seeming like he was disregarding Ronaldo. You can look at it any other way, right? It's the same thing with the Mbappe, Neymar, Messi's. You know, people are extrapolating what they want because they want to create a narrative that does what? It sells money. It sells papers, which gives people money. But Eves, on the World Cup, Portugal is there. There's all these things happening with the teams. There's all these things happening with France. There's all these things happening with, you know, Poland. They apparently the Poland brought in Bielsa to give them this rundown on you know, over 50 hours of tape that he analyzed for them. You know, it's not overshadowing the social issues and continual announcements that are coming out of the Qatari football organizers for the World Cup. So, what are the new updates on the social aspects of the World Cup? What are the things that are concerning you, and how are you seeing them transpire as we come up to the next 24 hours of before we start?
Yeah, it's a great point. So I'll follow up on the Ronaldo aspect first. Like I said, I thought it was refreshing. I think that he needed to say what was needed to say at the right time. I think it came out at the time that was needed to come out. Whether he has a future at Manchester United, I think if Manchester United are smart, they should actually harbor him, take his feedback in, and say, "Listen, you know, you brought some valid points. We'll look at ourselves." Are they going to do it? Most likely not. But that's
Nah.
what they should have done. If he is to leave, we'll speculate on the next podcast show, obviously. But let's see with that. In terms of the involvement with Portugal, I think that they'll be fine. I think it'll have a minor impact in the first week, unless this keeps happening and he gets, you know, kicked out and there's more things that they try. And it could be that Manchester United openly try and destroy his World Cup by you know, canceling his contract and giving more speculation. We'll see. But right now, I think they're 100% focused. And if he wants to, you know, stop the haters, he's going to have to show up, which I'm sure he will. And they have an interesting group.
Did cancel. United has come out and said they're canceling his contract, and they're gonna sue him for a breach of contract. Is the rumors? I don't know if
it's the rumors. I don't know if it's official. I don't know if they can because the contract is binding. That was the rumors. That was it. Apparently, they're going to cancel his contract, and they want to sue him. In one word, they want him to go quietly and not ask for money, which obviously won't happen. We saw the Neymar thing versus Barcelona. If Cristiano Ronaldo wants to uphold his image, he most likely will have to go to the end. So Manchester United would be in a long haul with one of its legends, which is highly not recommended. So let's see how that goes.
You're right,
But,
and that's not that. You're right. That's not a good. That's not good for the club either, right? Because this is a club that was built on legends and the
it won't
story
attract
of
talent.
legends.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
It won't attract
you're
talent
right.
down the road because any Generation Z will understand that if they do this to a legend, you're most likely on the next one. Should you say anything? And this generation is very social media driven, so
Oh
it'll be
yeah.
interesting.